Hi, and welcome to this evening's practice. Tonight, I want to guide you through a very soft, gentle, and melty kind of yin practice. So, for today's practice, you're going to need a bolster. If you want to have a blanket, that would be nice. And if you do have blocks, you can bring your blocks. If you don't have them, no worries. We can just skip them right away. I also brought an eye pillow, but if you don't have that, that's fine too. You might just want to place a sweater over your eyes when we're resting later. So we're going to get started on our backs. So finding your way into a comfortable position laying down. And we're going to focus on our heart space today. So, focusing on our energetic heart, focusing on our heart space. So, whenever you feel ready, coming down onto your backs and knowing that if you want to rest on your side or rest on your belly, that's perfectly fine. Can use your bolster under your knees, maybe resting your hands on your body, resting your hands on your belly or on your chest. And allowing yourself here to close down your eyes or soften your gaze. And allowing all the muscles in your face to soften. Letting go of any tension in your forehead, around your eyes, around your jaw. Letting it all soften here. And maybe you can invite 2 sips of air and then exhale it out. Again, inviting 2 sips in and exhale it out. And last round, inhale and exhale. And then follow your natural breath here, following the breath through the nose. Your inhales and exhales in through the nose and out through the nose. Beginning our practice with connecting to the breath, letting go of any happenings or events that's been happening around you today. Anything that's been stealing your attention or distracting you. And really pulling your awareness in, pulling your attention in, into the breath. And into the body. And as we focus on our heart space today, we focus on, as I said, the energetic heart. And in yoga philosophy, when we look at the chakras, the heart has this beautiful green color or sometimes pink. So choose whatever color that resonates with you as you focus your awareness on your heart. And with every inhale, you can almost visualize that you draw the air into the heart, drawing the color into the heart with your in breath. And with your out breath, letting this heart, letting the color around it expand out. With your inhale, collecting the awareness into the center of your heart, into the color of green or pink. And with your exhale, feeling the heart, feeling this color expanding out. Continuing like this in your own pace, the inhale draws the awareness in. And the exhale, expanding the heart. Allowing your breath to be soft, to flow naturally, guiding each inhale a little bit deeper, each exhale a little bit longer. Let's take 3 more breaths here. As you stay here, focusing on your heart and your heart space, I want to read to you a quote by Matt Haig. It says, "Resting is doing. You don't need to be busy. You don't need to justify your existence in terms of productivity. Rest is an essential part of survival, an essential part of us, an essential part of being the animals we are. When a dog lies in the sun, I imagine it does it without guilt, because as far as I can tell, dogs seem much more in tune with their own needs. As I grow older, I think that resting might actually be the main point of life. To sit down passively, inside or outside, and merely absorb things. The tick of a clock, a cloud passing by, the distant hum of traffic, a bird singing, can feel like an end in itself. It can actually feel and be more meaningful than a lot of the stuff we are conditioned to see as productive. Just as we need pauses between notes for music to sound good, and just as we need punctuation in a sentence for it to be coherent, we should see rest and reflection and passivity, and even sitting on the sofa, as an intrinsic and essential part of life that is needed for the whole to make sense. And this is really what this practice is about, allowing ourselves to find rest, allowing ourselves to rest in our own hearts, in whatever feelings that are present, whatever emotions that are here, and allowing ourselves to trust ourselves, to rest into that source of your heart, and rest your physical body, rest your emotional body, resting your mental body. And we can take another few breaths here on our backs. Again, maybe allowing the in-breath to roll a little deeper. Maybe want to sigh it out through our mouth. Let's do that one last time. Full breath in. And a full breath out. Sweet. And then slowly letting your knees bend, placing the soles of your feet on the floor. And we can maybe scooch that bolster to the side. And we're going to come to a fetal pose, rolling over to your side just for a moment here, cuddling up into that little ball on the floor. And transitioning in your own time into a Sphinx pose. So, coming through Sphinx, we need to come up onto our hands and knees. So, from here, we can use the bolster. If you don't have one, you can have a rolled up towel or blanket. You're going to come down here with a bolster underneath your chest. Placing your arms just in front of the bolster. And we find this little back bend here, right? So if this is too much for you, you can just move the bolster away. And you can instead be on the forearms, but you can bring the arms a little further forward. That brings you into less of a back bend. And if you like, you can rest your head down just into the air, or maybe using a block or little head support. So taking whatever decision you need to take, and if this isn't comfortable, if this isn't for you today, please just rest down on your back. We still come into a little bit of a back extension or a little back bend, just laying down here, at least for the low back, since it has its natural curvature. And we're going to be here for a while, so take your time to come into the most comfortable position of your shape. And knowing that with Yin Yoga, we want to find a place where we can stay. We want to find a place where it's not too much sensation and when it's not too little sensation. So a place where we're in this golden field, just like Goldilocks. It's not a porridge that's too hot. It's not a porridge that's too cold. We're somewhere in between. And when you find that sweet spot, we allow ourselves to find stillness if that feels okay. And we allow our bodies to breathe, allowing each breath to run a little slower through your body, allowing the muscles of the face to stay soft. Noticing what you can sense right now. How is your body feeling? Where can you feel your breath in this position? And the yin practice is really about letting go of productivity, letting go of the doing, the constant rhythm. And it is a returning our awareness, returning our presence into the here and now, into the body. The thinking mind always wants that stimuli, wants us to keep going, achieving. But can we just press pause and provide the brain, the nervous system, some rest? We sometimes need to reflect upon that. What is rest for me? What feels restful for me? What are activities that support my well-being and support my recovery and my mental health? And where is your breath at? We take another 5 breaths here, making them a little deeper, a little slower. After that 5th breath, we can slowly return down onto our bellies if we're not there already. Maybe resting the forehead down, maybe resting your cheek down. You can gently just let your hips wiggle from side to side. Or if you rather find a moment in stillness, feel free to do that. Feeling your breath flowing through, creating space, creating awareness. And bringing that awareness all the way into the heart. How are you showing up today? What's moving inside of you? All right, you can stay here for as long as you need. Our next position is going to be our broken wings position or our prone chest stretch. If you, for any reason, can't work with your chest in this position, I'm going to show you a different variation in just a minute. So, where we begin is to reach the right arm out to the side into a big T shape, placing left hand underneath your left shoulder. And then we're going to press into that left hand to roll over to the right side. So I'm laying here on my right side. I rest my head down to the floor and I can bend my knees. So maybe it feels nice to just bend your knees and stack the legs. This is one of your options. There's also the option of keeping the legs straight and then just bending the top leg and stepping it behind the right leg. And this will give you more of a twist into the low back. And for some, this is comfortable. For some, it isn't. So Finding whatever position feels good. And this is can be at least a intense position. So if this isn't where you want to or can be today, what you can do is find a wall. You find a door and place your hand just on the side of the wall here, and then bring your body a little forward. I have this cactus shape in the arm, and I bring my chest forward onto the side of the wall. So maybe this is more comfortable, more manageable for the chest structure. So let's do that. And finding any of these positions that feel good to you and finding the breath. Noticing any sensations in the chest. Breathing and allowing any tension in the face to soften. Often, when there is intensity or discomfort, we tend to hold the breath. We tend to tense up face and jaw and shoulders. So, see if you can keep these areas of your body relaxed, paying close attention on how your body is responding. And whatever is going on, observing with that non judgmental mind, that self compassionate self talk. Staying a little longer here. And we're just going to take another 5 breaths. And you can slowly, if you're sitting, just release the hand down. If you're standing, you can come down into a seat. And you might want to just pause here for a moment in a seated position. If you're on your belly, slowly rolling back onto your belly and moving into this prone resting position. So finding any restful position for you right now, whatever you need. Noticing any side difference from right to left. The side you were working on, does it feel different from the other side? And can we notice that without criticism or judgment? Just observing. Feeling your breath. You can stay here for as long as you need. But if you feel like moving into the other side, you can slowly get going with the left side. With the left side, you do the same thing on your belly. You stretch your left arm out to the side, right hand under your shoulder, and then rolling over to the left. Maybe stepping the right foot behind, or maybe stacking the knees, just resting your head down. If you're seated against the wall, or maybe you make your way up into standing if that feels better. But wherever you are, we are finding a position that feels not too much, right? It doesn't feel too little. It feels like the perfect amount. And if you need to make any adjustments, you go ahead and make those adjustments. Finding your breath on this side. How does it feel like to be breathing? Can you soften around your shoulders, around your face? Slow and steady breath. And let's invite another 5 breaths here. A little extra soft, a little extra nurturing, and a little extra sweet. Beautiful. Whenever you've taken that 5th breath, can we let ourselves roll back onto the belly? Or maybe just come into a seated position for a moment and rest. A moment to reset. Letting yourself soften. Beautiful. Whenever you're ready, we're going to move into our balasana or child's pose. So, taking your time to get there. If you like, you can bring the knees wide apart. If you do have a bolster, you can use your bolster out in front of you. Bring it close in, letting your hips sink back towards your heels. And then slowly coming to rest your belly down, resting your feet down. And staying here. If it doesn't feel comfortable for your knees, you might want to stay a little higher up. Don't go as far into the flexion of the knees. And just finding our way into this little cocoon. I sometimes like to hug my hands around the bolster. It gives it a little bit of an elevation for the head part, the upper part of the bolster. And again, returning into the breath, feeling that soft, fluid breath. And in this position, we might want to focus on the breath into the back of the heart, into the shoulder blades, the area in between the shoulder blades, the back of the heart. And if you like the visualization of the color entering into the heart with your breath, you can practice that here as well. With your inhale, drawing the awareness into the heart space, allowing the color in. And with the exhale, allowing the heart and the color to expand. The inhale, just guiding the awareness into the heart. And with the exhale, watching it expand into the chest. Continuing with your own breath in your own time. What is your body telling you when you start to slow things down? Noticing and listening to the messages, the signals that your body is sending you. Cultivating that inner awareness, that dropping in. Let's take another 5 breaths. And after that 5th breath, you can slowly bring some movement back into the body, slowly making your way back up into a tabletop, onto all fours. And let's keep the bolster here. Let's keep the bolster on the mat and let's turn around. We turn around so we get to place our sweet thumbs close to the bolster. And we're going to come to lay down, finding the bolster behind you. If you don't have one, using a rolled up towel or block or a blanket, rolled up blanket. If this feels okay, letting the arms reach out to the sides. If this is too much, please rest the arms closer to the body or even on your belly. You can let your legs stay like this, soles of the feet grounded. Or if you like to, you can lengthen your legs out. Or you can bring the soles of your feet together, knees out to the sides. And if you do have blocks here, you might want to use your blocks underneath your knees. So finding our way into a supported fish pose with butterfly legs. Allowing your body to really soften here. Shoulders to grow heavy. Allowing your heart to grow open. And your breath is still soft, deep, and rhythmical. Finding this ebb and flow of the breath, this soft transition between inhale and exhale. Almost as if the inhale, when it comes to the top, it just slowly melts into the exhale. And when we come to the bottom of the exhale, it's just like we slowly melt into the inhale. So it's like this circular breath. It doesn't need to be sharp edges. It doesn't need to be rough. It doesn't need to be breath holds. Can we find this circular soft breath where the inhale melts into the exhale and the exhale melts into the inhale? Staying with the breath, especially if the mind is wandering. If it tries to bring you to other places, staying with the breath, letting your mind rest, letting your physical body rest, and letting your heart rest. Nothing that needs to be processed in the brain, providing the heart with enough safety so that it can feel safe, trusting in this moment, trusting that nothing needs to happen right now, no decisions to be made, but just this pure moment right now of non-doing, non-achieving, non-accomplishments. Where we can find softening, melting, and a releasing moment for ourselves. Let's take those 5 breaths. Making them a little deeper, a little longer. Beautiful. After your 5th breath, take your time to guide your knees back in towards one another. And we're gonna slowly move over to one side into that fetal pose, just resting on the side here for a moment, maybe cuddling up into a little ball to round through the spine if that feels good. Awesome. Now for our next position, we're gonna move into legs up against the wall pose. So if you're in the middle of a room and you don't have a wall space nearby, what you can do here is use your bolster. And with your bolster, come down onto your back, scooch your sacrum, this flat part of the back of your pelvis. Place it onto your bolster and then lift your legs up into the air. So maybe this is where you are. You can rest your arms wherever feels comfortable. And taking your time to get settled here. But if you do have a wall space, like I do, what you can do instead is just to scooch your way against the wall, coming fairly close to the wall with your bum, and then just resting your legs down here onto the wall. So wherever you are, again, resting your arms wherever they feel comfortable. If you have that eye pillow, you can, of course, use that eye pillow here. Taking your time to get settled and to find your breath. Reflecting upon our relationship with rest. Do we allow ourselves to find moments of rest? Or is it hard? Is it difficult? Is it not prioritized? And what does that mean? When we're not prioritizing our own rest, we are not as capable in life. Honestly, that's it. We're not as creative, we're not as good at problem solving, we're not as soft-hearted, kind and friendly. We're not as self-compassionate or compassionate towards others. So we really need moments of rest in our day to day to connect into our deeper source of potential, of strength, of creativity, and of power. So maybe we ask ourselves, why am I not prioritizing rest? Why am I not prioritizing myself? Finding your soft, deep breaths. Maybe you feel that breath all the way into the belly now, that circular breathing. The inhale that just softly transitions into the exhale. And the exhale that softly transitions into the inhale. Can you drop into this moment? Any sensations in the body? Any feelings in your heart? It's not until we allow ourselves to rest and deeply connect with a slower pace that we can also allow our emotions to take up the space they need. This creates an emotional stability where we can regulate our emotions, but also befriend them. Don't need to shut emotions off or ignore them, pretend like they don't exist. Or we can just let them be what they are, coming and going emotions, just like clouds on a sky. Okay, sweet friends, let's take 5 more breaths here. Just 5. Okay. And then whenever you feel ready, let's move into Shavasana, into your final resting pose. So let's move the legs away from the wall or bring them down from your bolster, bringing the legs all the way down here. If you like to, you can hug the knees to the belly for a short moment, just feeling the low back into the floor and feeling this gesture of gratitude, gratitude for your body, gratitude for this moment, gratitude for your heart. Maybe lifting the nose up, squeezing everything tightly together. Let's take a deep breath in. And with your exhale, can we release everything out into Shavasana? Making yourself as comfortable as possible. If you need to adjust anything at all relating your arms, legs, if you want a blanket, take your time. Noticing if it feels comfortable to close your eyes or if you want to keep them slightly open with a soft gaze. Knowing that whenever Shavasana comes into our practice, we never need to do anything. If you rather lay on your side or come into a seated meditation, that's totally fine. If you feel like moving at any point, that's also perfectly welcome. And guiding your awareness into your body. We can let go of any control of the breath, any guidance of the breath, and just letting it breathe as it does and has been doing since the moment you were born. Letting go of any control of the mind and letting go of any control of the heart. Letting any thoughts and any emotions come and go as clouds on a sky. Noticing when they appear and just letting them slowly drift off without further analyzing them or deep diving into them. Can you let yourself rest? And then reminding ourselves of that resting is doing. I'll read it to you again because we need the reminder more often than we think. You don't need to be busy. You don't need to justify your existence in terms of productivity. Rest is an essential part of survival, an essential part of us, an essential part of being the animals we are. When a dog lies in the sun, I imagine it does so without guilt, because as far as I can tell, dogs seem more in tune with their own needs. As I grow older, I think that resting might actually be the main point of life. To sit down passively, inside or outside, and merely absorb things. The tick of a clock, a cloud passing by, the distant hum of traffic, a bird singing can feel like an end in itself. It can actually feel and be more meaningful than a lot of the stuff we are conditioned to see as productive. Just as we need pauses between notes for music to sound good, and just as we need punctuation in a sentence for it to be coherent, we should see rest and reflection and passivity and even sitting on the sofa as an intrinsic and essential part of life that is needed for the whole to make sense. If you feel like you need more rest today, if you feel like you need to stay in Shavasana, you can stay here for as long as you need. But if you feel ready to move back, you can slowly invite some movement into the fingers and toes, into your ankles and wrists, rolling the head a little side to side, maybe inviting some movement into the neck. Maybe reaching your arms up overhead, giving yourself that full body stretch, stretching out your toes, big reach, maybe big yawn, sigh. And then rolling over into that fetal position on to your side. Keeping your eyes closed or your gaze lowered as you move into a seated position. And as you make your way up here, connecting your sitting bones down into the earth, resting your hands onto your heart or into Anjali Mudra. And from here, let's just take a moment of gratitude for showing up today. A moment of gratitude for showing ourselves the way of rest. And a moment of gratitude for your heart and for this moment of connection with it. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me tonight. Let's take a full big breath all the way into the belly. Open your mouth and sigh it out. Opening your eyes in your own time. Thank you so much for sharing your practice. I hope to see you here soon again for our next practice.